He's been known for working with a number of really popular bands in the city of Chicago and nationwide. He's known in the city as kind of a convener, a collector. He brings together really interesting artists and creative types to do really amazing projects and implement really amazing kind of musical experiences. And he's promised us that his one commitment to our space is to bring that type of energy to the Arts Incubator. So on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, we will be invited to attend a number of performances that he will implement with his band and others throughout the city of Chicago that have committed to bringing their energy to the south side of Chicago and hopefully working with some artists based on the south side to do really amazing things again. And finally, Tamika Reed. She's a cellist, really well known in the local Chicago jazz scene. Some of you might have seen her perform at the Nightclub Jazz Festival, the Chicago Jazz Festival. I'm really excited to have her involved in this effort. And she, again, like Leroy, will be performing publicly. And again, those events will be open to you to attend. So March 8th, please put that date on your calendar. From 3 to 6 p.m., we will be having what we're calling a community open house. And then from 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. on, it's a party. We're celebrating the fact that this building is open and open to you. We really want you to imagine this space as a space where you can attend really creative events, right? And have your ideas heard. We're using this year to pilot a number of things, but we're open and flexible enough in nature to work with you to try to implement some of the things that you'd like to see in your community. Okay?
These ladies are here today as a result of a lot of negotiations that myself and Alderman Dow have done with the University of Chicago to improve and make an investment in the Washington Park community. This is their initial investment. This is not the only investment that is going to be made. We expect to build out 55th Street to be a grand boulevard, as well as to enter into the Washington Park community. New lighting, flag posts, New Sabo Museum is getting some major renovation done in it. The University of Chicago Medical Center has just opened up a new specialty care hospital. We're working really, really hard to make Washington Park, Garfield Boulevard, a place where you can be very proud of. Retail, restaurants, all of those things will be part of developing 55th Street corridor to make it more interesting for you to be part of and to satisfy your needs in your community. Now, questions and answers. We've had a few. And the superintendent has a couple of them in front of him. We're going to hand him the mic so that he can respond to them, and we are going to go down that line as well as those things that I can answer based on that. He may have to get out of here now. We spent a lot of time with us this morning, and I appreciate that very much. We don't have many questions here for him, but he'll be more than willing to answer.
Thank you, Alderman. I've got 3 questions came to me. One of them is very specific, and I'm going to ask Commander Evans to deal with it. But I have 2 policy questions here. One is from a doctor whose name, I'm not going to give out the name, but doctor, I want to congratulate you because you spelled my name with 2 R's, which nobody does, and that's the correct way to spell it. It's my maternal grandmother's maiden name. Everybody always asks, why am I Garry with 2 R's? The question is, to address the weaker gun laws that we're talking about, have we worked or considered on creating alliances with my counterparts in both law enforcement and find other allies and stakeholders in other sectors like education, faith-based, healthcare, to influence changes in the laws? And the answer, the simple answer is yes. We have consolidated our forces, if you will, certainly in law enforcement, and it's a really interesting dynamic. The reason why I'm going to D.C. tomorrow is I participate in a conference. I'm a member of something called Major City Chiefs, which is a very influential group. We actually get things done on Capitol Hill, unlike our government at this point. We've done a number of things, and tomorrow starts a 2-day conference, but both days, Monday and Tuesday, are filled up with my time going to meet with people to talk about these gun laws. I'm going to be meeting with our representatives in the House, and Senator Kirk and Senator Durbin. I've already met with to talk about these gun laws. but within law enforcement, we do have a coalition. It works through major city chiefs, and then there's Illinois State Chiefs Association. Interestingly, as you might expect, there's different views, even within policing across this country. And I'll never forget when I was at a major city chiefs conference years ago, and the chief, Charles McClellan from Houston, somebody asked him, post-Katrina, how is the crime rate in Houston? As a result, of course, a lot of the gang members were displaced into Houston. If you remember, everybody got displaced to Houston. And he got up and he said, well, at first, our robberies went up through the roof until all those gangbangers learned that it's the God-given right of every Texan to carry a firearm. And then they left. And I was like, okay, well, that's not the way that I think the thing should happen, but okay, so be it. So we do have a little bit of a struggle within these organizations, but we do have political alliances, and our position as major city chiefs has already been presented to the president and the vice president, and I've been selected as one of the spokespeople to go there and drive it home. Of course, I've kind of been an advocate in this area for years now, going back to my days in New York City. Within that also, we've partnered with faith-based, we've partnered with our educators, every coalition that we could possibly form, in virtually everything that we do, and this is a very important one, and the mayor is using a lot of his quote-unquote political capital to try and drive this in the state, which is a little bit difficult, I should say. So all of those things are in fact happening, Doctor, and thank you for your question. The second question is from a young lady, and this is I believe she's a young lady. Well, you are a young lady, right, lady?
Yes.
Are there any opportunities for community to suggest ways to increase and improve the amount of people that come forward to police as witnesses or with information? I have some ideas that I'd like to hear my feedback on. So we will be absolutely in contact with you, but that's a great question, and you may or may not have heard about this because it's something that I've been working on. We have a big problem. Well, first of all, we have a trust problem in the community, right? And what you never hear out of police chiefs' mouths that I'm willing to say is that in some cases it's very well deserved, right? Not in all cases, but in some cases it's very well deserved. We in American policing have made some terrible mistakes, right? And you know, I speak frankly, and I speak about race constantly because I'm willing to take on the 800-pound gorilla in the room that makes a lot of people very uncomfortable. The fact is, going back in this country, if you look, and by the way, some people were surprised to know that I read the new Jim Crow, that I actually have met and listened to Michelle Alexander. And the fact is, you know, I put my own spin on this a little bit. And this is something, when I first got here, I don't know if you saw it, but it went viral on YouTube when I spoke at St. Sabina, and I talked about guns and race, right? Very well deserved in some cases, the distrust that we raised in the community. And it's actually a fallout of our history. And if you look at the history of African Americans in this country, which I know, again, I'm kind of preaching to the choir, right? From slavery, the black codes, the Jim Crow, the segregation, to finally the Civil Rights Acts of the 60s. That's very recent in people's memories. And it's not unusual to know people, as I do, who listen to their great-grandparents who might have been slaves when they were growing up, telling them about what had happened. So those, I'm going to call them racist laws that were on the books, were enforced by who? The white police departments, right? So that distrust kind of grows out of it, and then what happens is, through the prism and the glasses of looking at history back through that, we look forward. So everything we see has a relationship to that history, and that's some of the stupid things that we've done. And I'm not averse to talking about it. We talk about John Burroughs, right? We talk about some of the things that have happened in this city that are all coming up now, by the way, right? That happened as long ago as the early 90s. It doesn't make it okay. It definitely happened. But the question is, what are we going to do to fix it moving forward? And it starts with the recognition of our mistakes, which I'm willing to do. I'm willing to tell you that we haven't always done everything right. The fact is, we have a trust issue. But there's another issue that exists in the community, which is no snitching code. And the no snitching code, and I didn't see this as much in Newark or in New York City. So it's a little bit different here. I bring perspective from other places, where witnesses or victims of crime are not cooperating with the police. Now, so first of all, there's a problem because sometimes there's retaliation. Okay, so there's a danger factor here that can't be denied. And we've got to come up with a system where we're going to protect people who can give us information. Right? I acknowledge that. But snitching, and you, again, everybody knows this, is if Willie Cochran and I commit a crime together, and I get caught, and I say I'm with Willie. Because there's no honor among thieves. I hope you know that. That code does not exist. The fact is, they give each other up all the time. They do. But now, what's happened is, this has now changed to victims and witnesses of crime do not cooperate with our investigation. So, nobody's ever tried to take this on. And I've got this concept that I've been working on to develop a marketing campaign and to get some really high-profile athletes, artists, actors, somebody who those kids are going to listen to come up and try and shift that dynamic to, it's not snitching if you're a witness or a victim to a crime. And I'm talking about people like Derek Rose, right? Because who are the kids going to listen to today? They're not going to listen to me, right? In most cases, they're not listening to their parents, but they might listen to Common. They might listen to D. Rose. They might listen to, Joaquin Noah. I don't know who it is, right? But I've come up with this concept, and whenever I talk to people, everybody's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, you know what? Count me in. All right. Well, somebody take this and run with it, because I got a little bit on my plate. And you know what I'm getting from that?
Right.
So, unfortunately, that concept, because I've been recruiting people to help me get this started, ended up hitting the press. And this thing made a big flare-up for about a week. Everybody's like, McCarthy's doing this, McCarthy's doing this. McCarthy thought about this. He doesn't have it going yet. So that's something that I think could be groundbreaking. I'm in touch with people in the record industry, in the music industry. I'm in touch with people in the Actors Guild Association. And I think, and now granted, I'm going to be a little bit out of touch with who these kids are going to listen to. But when I think about actors, I think Denzel Washington, right? I'm going right for the top. I don't know a more high-profile African-American actor. But he might not be the right guy because they're going to look at him as an old dude, right? So I got to find the young, hot people who they're going to listen to. And now I'm talking about a marketing campaign that includes public service announcements, that includes billboards, that includes bus stops, all of those things where it's branded, it's marketed, and has something, whatever the language is, that's going to stick in their heads to help us drive this home and get the community on board with it at the same time to get these kids to start listening. So that's something that hasn't been tried, and it's something that I'm trying to get going, and I will get it going because these guys will tell you I'm nothing if I'm not relentless and dense and thick. Because I think it's a good idea, nobody's tried it, so that's where I'm going. But I will be reaching out to you, and I might even bring you into this, depending on how much you want to get involved. But that's just a couple of ideas of the things we're working on. But the bigger issue of community trust, and this is something that there was some controversy regarding some of our strategies. And what we're doing in this city is something that I call a return to community policing, okay? A return to the beat officer who is supported by specialization, in other words, narcotics, task forces, and so on. And that has to be the baseline because what I hear, and I've been to thousands of these meetings, and people are always asking me, why are you stopping my son when you know who the criminals are? And the reason is we don't know who the criminals are if you don't have the same officer on the same beat in the same neighborhood every single day who knows the difference between Mrs. Smith's son and Mrs. Jones's son, because they're two totally different kids and they look exactly alike. So that's just another thing that we're doing, but on top of that, it's this whole concept that is a little deep, and I'm talking too long, I apologize, Alderman, but I'm very passionate about this stuff, is this concept of police legitimacy. And police legitimacy has to do, it's a big concept, but at the end of the day, it has to do with depoliticizing this department, getting the best and the brightest in the right places, giving them the authority and the accountability to do things. Trust me, Alderman, I'm not throwing shots, especially while you're standing behind me. But not based on political connections, based on merit, based on competence, based on hard work, putting people in the right places. And then translating that internal legitimacy into the public, where it becomes just as important how you do something as what you do. And the best example I could give you is stopping people, okay? We have to stop people on the street if we're going to stop people from carrying guns, okay? We have to stop people. But how we stop people is really critical, not if we stop people. And I'll tell you a quick story. When I was a sergeant, I was working in the equivalent of the tactical team in the South Front. And I had one officer who, we were very aggressive. He was stopping people all day long. He was getting complaints all the time. And I took him in the car with me, and I said, look, we're going to stop people. We're going to stop a lot of people. And I'm going to tell you that 99 out of 100, at the end of the encounter, are going to say, thank you, officer. And what we did was we went out and did exactly that, because here's what happens. We're trained to first take control of the situation, okay, for safety reasons. There was a study done by the FBI of 50 convicted police officer killers. Convicted. They were in prison. They did it. There's no doubt about it. They admitted to it. And they were looking for commonalities between all 50 of those incidents to try and figure out how to improve officer safety. They couldn't find one common theme except for this, that the officer did not take control of the situation when they arrived on the scene. So therefore, it somehow spun out of control and the officer got killed. So we're trained to first take control of the situation. If I respond to a call of a man with a gun, I'm not walking up to that person with my hands in my pocket saying, hey, what's going on? That's just not smart. But once I find out that this guy does not have a gun, once I find out that the danger has been abated, now the conversation shifts. Look, here's why I'm stopping. I'm stopping you because just 2 hours ago, there was a shooting 3 blocks away, and we anticipate that there's going to be a retaliatory shooting in this neighborhood. And this is not a good place for you to be standing right now. Or whatever the case might be. Somebody called and said that there's a man on the corner with a gun, or we have a robbery pattern that you might fit the description of that's happening right here. Whatever the reason you're stopping somebody, you tell them why. And you say, and you can bring it down, you take it to a different area. Because there's a study that shows that when the police are viewed as legitimate, when the legal system is viewed as legitimate, people comply with the law at a greater rate. They do it automatically. And this is something that we've completely lost in the city of Chicago. Some of it very well earned. Like I said, John Burgess, who is back in prison. The cops who do bad things. And you know what? Those minor encounters that we have are all teachable moments. And when we recognize that, we can change the culture of what's happening. And we can build community trust by not stopping the 5 kids who are coming from basketball practice, but knowing the other 5 kids who are always standing on that other corner. Well, I'm sorry, I'm talking way too much, but I apologize. I'm very passionate about this stuff. But this is where we're going as a department. And it's not something that we can wave a magic wand and make it happen. We have to have the right leadership in these places. You know, Alderman, you know this better than me. But I'm not talking bad about anybody, but when we put the right person in the 3rd district, look at how this place has turned in a different direction. Glenn Evans is the hardest working man in this district. and I love him to death. I love Fred too, but Glenn has a lot. Glenn's a good character. Glenn's a good character. Fred has character. But look, you know, the plan for 2013 is going to be a number of things that we're changing. But the single most important thing that I think is going to nail it down this year and make some real progress is the fact that I got the right people driving the buses. I got the right people in the places that they need to be. At this point, by the way, Fred is only one of 2 district commanders who I did not put in their position. Only 2, right? The other 20 district commanders I have personally put in those positions. Fred has all my confidence, and that's why he's in the 2nd district. Okay? He's wonderful, as is Eric Washington on the west side, who's the other guy, the 2 out of 20. So I've already spoken too long. Alderman, anybody else have anything else for me? Because I would really love, I got so much to do today. I would really like to do a little moonwalk out of here.
Well, let me see it. Put on some Michael Jackson, somebody. Put on some Michael Jackson, let me see. Like everybody sing for their moonwalk. Thanks, Superintendent. You have some competent staff here. If there's any more questions related to the police, we have 2 commanders. Okay, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, the Superintendent provided us a great conversation, great talk. We want to thank him and give him a hand again as he leaves out of the room. You know, we have these meetings to provide you with a lot of information, as much information as we possibly can. And we have a couple of people that I'd like to bring up right now to talk about their particular programs that are not on the agenda. And that is the subject of activating public space. Catherine, could you come up for a second, please?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I'll try and keep it short and sweet for you. My name is Catherine Darkstead. I'm the director of an organization called Architecture for Humanity Chicago. You might not have heard of it, but you might have seen one of our projects. Is anyone familiar with the big red Fresh Moves mobile market bus that sometimes travels around here? The mobile market that's inside a decommissioned CTA bus that's providing fresh produce to food deserts? That's one of our projects, so that's something that we designed and built, and that's the kind of community initiative of restoring access that we're bringing to public space within the Woodlawn community. So what we're doing is we have a competition called Activate. The Activate Public Space Design Competition is a unique partnership between our organization and the Chicago Department of Transportation. And what that is doing is it will be installing a design. This is a public space design competition, so it's open to the public internationally. It will be installing a winning design on the site of 62nd and Ingleside, so that's just 2 blocks south of the Logan Center. And this is a competition that we've been going through for 4 years. This is the 4th year that we've done it. The previous years we've worked in Little Village, Bronzeville, and also in Washington Park. This year we are working in Woodlawn, Pilsen, East Garfield Park, and Old Town to bring forward activations of public space that currently are just concrete, that are these dead spaces that need some sort of revitalization within the community. So these designs we have found have leveraged more community and economic development through the implementation of what's called placemaking infrastructure. Similar installations in previous years have shown to increase pedestrian activity, access to open space, and improve overall street safety. So we've been listening in the back. My colleagues and I, Tina and Miriam back there, have been listening to what you're saying in these meetings. And so as we start to think about how do we build more sustainable communities through design, just start to think about that change that our neighbors and our children are seeing. So instead of the yellow tape, instead of hearing the gunshots, in a very small way, you could take a site and start to see parks, hear laughter, and start to see more businesses from that. Now, we don't promise that one little thing, one little activation does that, but this little piece can be a start. It's a start of that small incremental change to much more large-scale development that has led to more businesses, and we can only do that in partnership with you, the community, because we need your help and your expertise to let something like that continue to grow and evolve. So today we're here to say hi. So hi, we're here. And we will be back over the upcoming community meetings. We will be presenting all of the design entries for that 62nd and Ingleside site at a future meeting. Those are where you will be selecting, and community representatives will be selecting what design is put on the site, and then come June, early July, with your assistance, we will be building that on the site. Like I said, we've done this in previous years. This is our 4th year, so we decided to scale up, and we are very excited for this overall. So our website with information about this competition is activate2013.org, ACTIVATE 2013.org. The Alderman site will have a link to it and a little bit more information on there. And so if you have any questions today, please feel free to talk to us. And again, you'll be seeing us over the next 6 months until that is installed. You'll be seeing the designs as they are entered and are published, and it will be up on the site for a year. This is a temporary arts and placemaking infrastructure. It will be up for 1 year once we install it, and hopefully from there, that level of permanence is up to you. What can that site be? Because currently, right now, it is concrete, and we want to be able to make that something more that starts to make other spaces more. So this could be something that could be replicated throughout. And we do this on a budget of $1,000. So small scale, small budget. We've done this for 4 years. It is possible, and we want to do it here and work with you to be able to do that. Thank you.
Well, let me clarify one thing. Community partners are extremely important as far as succeeding in projects like these. University of Chicago, we talk about the architectural company that she has that does this public space, but it also requires input and funding through our resources as well, and community partnerships and block clubs to take the lead on these things after these implementations have taken place. And so we always look forward to try and bring other organizations into our ward, other leadership, other knowledge, to make this a more practical solution to what is now and what has been known as Rock Creek Park, a location where they used to sell drugs and gangs hang out and so on and so forth. We're going to be opening that street up a bit. We're going to be taking some of that concrete away. We're building a new school right on the corner of that. We have the AKA Center on the block. And so this is just another step in improving the quality of life in that area. Another group, and I'm going to be bringing Adrena up to talk about Metropolitan Family Services, organization that is a partner of mine in the Kennedy King project, the Center for Working Families, and she also has a site at 822 East 63rd Street to address family issues, family support issues. Adrena, Metropolitan Family Services, could you please give us a little bit about your program?
Thank you, Alderman. There was nothing planned, but of course you don't resist the Alderman. So my name is Adrena Spence. I'm from Metropolitan Family Services. We are the provider for the Grove Park project, which is on Cottage Road between the 61st and 63rd Street corridor, as well as we operate the Center for Working Families, which operates out of Kennedy King College. And I'll focus on the Center for Working Families. The goal of the Center for Working Families is to also, it helps with employment, but also looks at your credit score, looks at how to help you to be prepared as you make life decisions. One of the things we know that employers are now looking at credit scores, and this is really important, especially for young people, as they make bad choices and decisions. I use the example of when I went to college and someone gave me all these credit cards and I had no job. So then as I progressed in life and got out of college, so there are some employers that's really key. You can't manage their money if you can't manage your own. So it's a really great one-on-one service, but also we provide computer programming and training. There's literature on the back table, so if there's any interest. We're also, as an organization, although we're located throughout the city, we're really working with the aldermen and some of the other leaders in the community on how to offer more needed services. I'm a product of the Woodlawn South Shore area, but one of the things I see that does not exist when I was growing up is the mix of services and it was always a community. We always had times of after school and out of school time programming and services. And how do we make sure those things exist? How do we make sure the mental health services, the counseling services, and those things that are needed for our families, make sure that they're back in the community and accessible, and we don't have to travel very far in order to get those things. So we look forward to continue to work with the Alderman and how to make sure we bring those services back to the community.
Thank you very much. We talked about those social and emotional needs. We talked about a possible grant that we're going to be working on. We talked about a partnership with the University of Chicago Medical School and hospitals so that we can deliver counseling services. Metropolitan Family Services is a partner in that, a key partner in that. And so I just wanted to let you all know they have been doing this for many, many years. They have been providing us with a quality service since they became our partners in this project, and we look forward to strengthening their programs because their programs strengthen our community and my delivery of services to the community. Now, there was still a couple more questions. Streets and sanitation. Let's get this done.
Morning. I had a couple questions regarding the recycling. We are rolling out recycling citywide this year. The city mayor's committed to spend $13 million this year on blue carts. I don't have the schedule with me, but we're starting in the center of the city, so I know you're either in the first or second rollout, which means in the next couple of months you will have recycling coming your way. And again, we're going to be doing a public outreach regarding this program, primarily through the schools, so it is coming. And we will have the entire city rolled out this year. Any other questions for Streets and Sand? Yes?
I'd like to know, who do I go to for the bumpers in the alley? Because I live by the street, I live by the school, and it's closed off, but the kids are going to school. But when they're coming, when parents drop them off and they take that alley, they just street right by.
Speed bump. We don't do that. That's I think that's CDOT. Yeah, it's CDOT. Right. Sorry.
Ms. Universe, just leave that in our notes.
Yes.
Previously, the recycling pattern seemed to be erratic, at least where I live at block of South Devon, but now things kind of become regular. Will a regular schedule be put like online or on the Alderman's website so you can know kind of what would be your regular pickup pattern?
Yeah, we're looking at that. What's going to take place as we roll out grid citywide, again, once we get these programs rolled out, we're going to go back and we're going to tweak them to try and put it online before they've actually been adjusted. We might have to make any changes. So what we want to do is get them all adjusted correctly. When we know that the grid is complementing recycling and everything is working well, then we'll get that information online so you have a better feel for it. Right now, recycling is, it's if you are bringing your cart out to an alley, we're asking that it be out that week. If you're pulling it out to the front, we try to give you a date. But again, these are things that we'll tweak in the programs after we get them completely rolled out. Thank you.
Thank you. CTA, there was a question. Sounds like we're losing.
What plans does CTA have for historical preservation and renovation at 55th Street Green Line stop? Right now, you're going to see a lot of work being done on 55th Street regarding the Green Line, based on the reconstruction over there for the turnaround. So you're going to see additional security lights going there and a lot of other work going in there. Preservation part, we'll get back to you on that as soon as we know. Okay?
There was a question about Rothschilds that the 3rd District Commander is going to be addressing. Brother Evans here, he's a great leader who likes to be quiet. Rare combination. He doesn't like to do a lot of public speaking, but today he has to.
Good morning. Thank you, Alderman. Let me digress for a second. Alderman Cochran.
Yeah, just speak up. Yeah, speak up.
He's one of the best police officers I know. He's been a mentor and role model, so I want to acknowledge that. The next is former Deputy Superintendent, now Superintendent of Streets and Sanitation, Charlie Williams. He's been a role model and a support, and he's backed me up and been nothing but supportive of me since I was a sergeant, and I appreciate him, and he continues in the vein, so I want to thank him very much. They've been really a lot of help. And Alderman Cochran, even though when I call him or text him, most of the times I good reason, he's always giving me support and being there, so I really appreciate it. I want to address one issue I got with 61st in Indiana. They requested a police light. I have a cat staff back there. She being Faith Patterson. Why don't you get that request to her in writing? I'll look at it, do a crime analysis, and if I think we need a blue light there, then I'll try to work with Dawn in his office to make sure that's done. Second issue, why is Rothschild's liquor allowed to open at 7 a.m.? I'm going to tell you that that's pretty much out of my hands at this point. I have to actually document quite a bit of gang activity, narcotics activity, or chronic public nuisance activity before I take any action on it. Mostly that's an operational thing. That's something that I think the elected officials or members of the community might want to engage Rothschild directly. Maybe you want to get in a conversation with them and bring it to the management and determine why they operate the way they operate. That might be something you want to look at. If it becomes an issue, I will address it. There's another question they put there. I'm going to skip that one and go on to items. The next one is that there's issues with I guess, degenerates of degenerates. Allowed to set up. I have a number of officers I've designated as business enforcement officers. They engage in problematic businesses, and they engage individuals that also commit problems in that location. They lock up not only drinkers and gamblers and people that are causing issues with those businesses, they also deal with the store owners who have questionable business practices. The issue that I have doing that, and I'm told by the Department of Revenue and the Department of Business that we really don't have the authority to shut the store down in absence of an emergency situation. So what we have to do, we have to write to them, we have to cite them, make arrests, monitor the situation, turn that over to the Department of Business. Maybe the next time that we have a meeting, we'll have some of those representatives out here and address those issues directly with them. But that's not us, that's escaped our detection. The next one I really like to ask is why I never see CPD on 63rd and Vernon. I need glasses. Making the loose square and whatever close merchants leave to the three corners. I've got a business enforcement team. If you would like to come into the station, I'm at 7040 South Cottage Road. If you'd like to see some of the arrests we made, some of the things we recovered, some of the cases we've got coming, walk right to my community policing office. We'll be glad to see you. I have a small crew. We have a fairly sized, big district with a lot of problematic businesses. They're going to address each and every problematic business within that district. We can't shut that down, and if you're a problematic business, we're going to put them on that path of revocation. It's a slow process, it's an ongoing process, but that's going to get done. 63rd and Vernon. I go to 63rd and Vernon just about every day. I can tell you the number of ceasefire workers I see there on a given day. I can tell you the number of people that traverse back and forth through there. I can tell you who runs in and out of Casey's restaurant. I can tell you who runs back and forth between Vernon and Rhodes. I had a car posted on 62nd and Rhodes. I can tell you that a couple of my supervisors yelled at me because some of my squad cars kept pulling them over. We're maintaining a presence over there, and I'm not just giving you a song because we are doing it. We can do it better. But like I said, I'm relatively new there, and that's an ongoing process. young lady who wrote this to me, if you want to see me on the way out, I'll be glad to talk to you more on any of these issues outside of that. Is there anybody, and keep in mind that my part of the district starts at 60th Street and it goes south to about 75th Street. So anything north of 59th Street, we give it to the community wall. Unless it's good, you give it to me. All right, thank you. To add to what the commander said, some of those things are due process issues that business has, that we have to go through certain protocols and steps before we can address their business license, taking it away or restricting it in any kind of way. We have to be able to support the reason for doing that. If not, no court, and what we actually is, in this case, is an administrative hearing based on administrative law. You have criminal law, you have business law, and you have administrative law. Administrative law deals with administrative issues. That is an administrative issue that requires due process in the execution or the dissolution of a business license. Okay? Cabo Memorial Church is offering GED classes. For those of you all who want to send people over here, we've made a big effort to try and bring GED classes in all of our communities, Inglewood, Washington Park, and Woodlawn, to try and do that locally. We don't have the type of turnout that we need to have, even though we need to have that high school education. Absent high school education, in order to go to the next step, you need GED classes and to be able to finish the GED course. We need people to be engaged in that. So if you know anybody who needs that, they're doing it right here. The next question, what are the new planned developments for Washington Park to stimulate the local economy? We just spoke of that. The Arts Incubator is one of them. Next to the Art Incubator, we expect to be able to open up a coffee lounge and sandwich shop soon. That vacant space that is between King Drive and Prairie will soon. We expect to be having some plans of development over there. Probably put about 3-4 different offerings for the community in that area. Cleaners has been one of the things that has been suggested. Retail development of different kinds, and we'll be trying to do the best that we can to bring the retailers and restaurants in that we can support not only the Washington Park community, but the advanced. If we get 28,000 people coming in for that CTA red line, we need to capture some of those dollars in our community and make our community a much more welcoming place. We're working on that. Bill Towns is in the room here. He's one of the representatives. He is the representative from the University of Chicago. He's working with us for that economic development plan. Tory Barrett, Life Center Church, we're planning on putting up a mixed income building on the corner of 55th and Michigan that will have retail on the bottom and residential on the top. We should be able to put about 7 or 8 commercial spaces in that building. It is something that is planned. These things take time to develop. It takes resources from the state. It takes resources from the city. It takes resources from the federal government. These plans are in place, and they are going to come to fruition. We're going to be starting our program again for our TIF designation for Washington Park. Should be hearing about that very soon. With that TIF designation, it will open up opportunities that we have not had before, so we have to move that agenda forward. There's a thank you for me supporting not-for-profit organizations, the Washington Park Consortium. We had some people here who, from the Washington Park Consortium, I sit as the chairman of that organization that is focused on quality of life issues. Brandon Johnson left, and the additional representative left. Are there any development plans in the pipeline by the university with respect to Washington Park? If we just answered that. And so that concludes the questions that was put forward to us. And going over the program here, the agenda, what we've been able to do is to talk about community safety. We've talked about education initiatives. We know that the Chicago public school system and their utilization program is going to be having additional meetings out in the community. Those things that you should be focused on are those schools that are going to be closed in your community or being considered to be closed, because the list is not final at this point. You could have some input. We want you to come out to look at that. Streets and Sanitation has come into the room, told us about the grid system. We got a new commissioner now, Charles Williams, who's committed to what he's doing. Red line construction is going to be bringing a number of people, a lot of traffic, into the Washington Park community from 95th. Going to have reduced fares or no fees associated at all. It might be a little different ride than the CTA line is, but you know, one of the best things is those transportation dollars that you were spending before to go on 95th from 95th here is not going to be costing you a thing because of the inconvenience. And so that'll help our economics in our households and our children, who we have to give dollars to on a regular basis to get their transportation addressed. Logan Arts Center, a response from the community. One of the things that the people in the Washington Park community ask for through our quality of life plan is improved arts and the offering of arts. We've had some great presentations. Not only are we talking about the Arts Incubator, we're talking about Logan Arts Center, which is a new construction at 60th and Drexel. You gotta come by there. You gotta go by and just tour the place. You gotta go by and take part in those free concerts that are taking place. It is an amazing, amazing experience. It is a jewel in our community. And it has high-rise, it has about 12, 14 stories. When you go up, you would not believe what your community of Hyde Park and Washington Park and Woodlawn look like from 14 stories up. It's a great view, and we're going to be doing more of that. We are working on a number of things. The hotel is 60th and Cottage Grove. The feasibility study is developing there. We've got a new school going up right now at 63rd and Ingleside, and plans to put a quality first-class medical center across the street from that in Woodlawn. University of Chicago Charter School is planning on building a brand new school right at 63rd between University and Greenwood. State of the art to serve our community. 40% of the children in the Woodlawn community attend that school, 40%. So we are made efforts to bring education, improve education, and it's being done. We put a new school up in the back of the yards, which is going to be having a library within that school. The new school that I have sought to have developed by the university is also going to have a public library as part of it when it is developed, to improve our school library and remove Betsy Coleman Library and give us a better product and utilize that space for a different need to service our community, maybe a senior satellite center or something like that. We're working on all of those things, ladies and gentlemen. In Inglewood, Helping Hands of Inglewood, we're working on the schools. We're talking about improving the social services and the social and emotional products that are being delivered to our children, and that's going to take place. Kershaw Elementary School, a Tier 1 elementary school, which we've turned into an AB school 4 years ago. We have 200 spots in that school. It's in Inglewood, 65th and Low, delivers great programming, arts, performing arts. It has gym programs. It has all kinds of programs that your children can benefit from and great education. So, in Inglewood, we've put Kershaw Elementary School, and we've put a program in there that has made it a Tier 1 school, not one of those schools that is going to close. We've got Urban Prep over there. We've got Johnson. We've got Team Inglewood and their campus of high schools, that every one of the students that graduate from there have qualified for college. Every one. In Inglewood. You hear all kinds of things about Inglewood, but we are making great strides in Inglewood because we're working very hard to do that. And we recognize the importance of social-emotional care. We recognize the importance of children learning at a very early age, so we bring in working in the schools, in 5 of our schools. And we had to stop at 5. Many other schools wanted to take part in it. We need volunteers. We need you to go in and give us a day. An hour and a half of your time, once a week, whenever you can, to help read to these children, to show that you care for these children, to bring parental involvement into these schools, to help the crime rate, to help our communities. And last but not least, we've talked about the downturn of the economy and how that has affected our foreclosure rates and vacant properties. We've heard how important it is to stabilize our communities again. And so as a result of that, you'll find that we're going to be rolling out a program in the 20th Ward as a pilot program where we're going to be taking these vacant homes and we're going to be rehabbing them and putting them back on the market for home ownership. And we're going to be working through the neighborhood's housing services where if you are interested in becoming a homeowner, you'll have to go through homeowner training and you'll be able to get you a home that's valued at $200,000 for about $140,000 because we're going to write down and give you credits for those things and give those people who have lost homes and others whose economics have reduced the opportunity to stabilize our communities again. We're working hard to do that. We're taking NSP dollars to rehab some of these buildings, to ensure that we have mixed income, putting playgrounds up, tennis courts, racquetball courts, squash courts, and retail. Cottage Grove corridor, 63rd Street corridor, we have studies going on right now. These things take time to develop, but I can guarantee you we are working diligently to get things done. And that is my motto, getting things done, and we are doing that. Thank you all out